So we will be talking about the Bioeconomy Mission in Colombia that Arturo will talk more in depth later. About the Bioeconomy Mission that was launched in December of 2020 with the main goal to promote the socioeconomic development of Colombia through efficient use and management of the biodiversity, the ocean biodiversity. So in this mission, there was one challenge that was pointed out, that was the use of the continental and oceanic biodiversity for sustainable development with 5 main topics: biodiversity research, aquaculture, fisheries, bioprospecting, and natural products and materials. So we understand that biodiversity research and conservation and ocean health as a basis for a successful blue economy. Today we will have wonderful speakers and friends sharing their research experience with all of us. First, Arturo Luna will talk about the Bioeconomy Mission in Colombia. He currently supports the efforts of the Bioeconomy Mission in the Ministry of Science of Colombia. Paula Sierra, Information and Research Coordination at Colombia Institute of Marine and Coastal Research in Villamil. I will talk about biodiversity in Colombian Caribbean Sea. Juan Armando Sanchez will talk about marine molecular biology. He's a professor at Universidad de los Andes. And Jaime Rojas will be talking about marine aquaculture in Colombian Caribbean. He's currently the scientific director of the Research, Education and Recreation Center, SEINER. Ellie López Barrera will talk about bioeconomy opportunities of the Caribbean Sea. She's a marine biologist. She will be talking about climate change, ecosystem services, socioeconomical vulnerability, environmental quality, and many other interesting topics. So I just want to mention, if you have questions, please do them in the Q&A box. And I think we are ready to start with our Arturo. So thank you, Arturo.
Thank you, Luisa. Good morning to the people in America. Good afternoon to the people in Europe and Africa. I'm Arturo Luna. I'm Manager of Science and Technology on Bioeconomy and Biotechnology from the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation. Also head of the Colombia Bio program. And together with Jorge Cano, Juan Fernando Martinez, we are working. This is the basic team of the Bioeconomy Mission from INCIENCIAS, and we are currently putting together the action plan, also devising some strategies for the implementation of the Bioeconomy Mission in Colombia, together with other organizations and other ministries in the Colombian government, with also actors from the academia and the productive sector. If you allow me, I will share my screen. Please let me know if you can see it.
Yeah, we can see it now. Thank you, Arturo.
Okay, as Luisa mentioned, the Bioeconomy Mission was launched on December 2020. However, this is work that's been that was started about a year before that. We started with the work performed by a commission of experts that in Colombia we call the Misión de Sabios, in which a number of more than 40 international, national experts devised a series of recommendations, and there was a huge focus on the bioeconomy. And this is one of the reasons why we started working on the Bioeconomy Mission in Colombia. Well, you may know where Colombia is, and we are like a really privileged position in between two oceans. We have about 44% of our territory is oceans. So there is a huge amount of resources in these oceans that we can use in a sustainable way in order to improve the economy of the country, but also the living conditions of the people that depend on these resources. And besides this, we also have a continental territory that is covered by forests in about 58% of the territory. And we have a vast amount of resources that actually can support the bioeconomy in a sustainable way. We have a big natural treasure. We are like a well-ranked in terms of biodiversity. For example, we are first in birds and orchids, second in the number of species of plants, amphibians, butterflies, and freshwater fish, third in number of species of palm trees and reptiles. Mammals, we are about fourth place around the globe. And we are fifth in the number of marine and continental ecosystems. And actually, we have more than 300 types of continental and oceanic ecosystems that offers a number of services, but in which we have a responsibility to protect and to use sustainably. We are, so far, we have registered about 58,000 species. However, this is seems to be about 25% of the actual number of species we can have here in Colombia. So this indicates that we still have a lot of work to do in terms of determining what species we have and how can we protect and use them. So what is bioeconomy for Colombia? We start with the Colombia's Green Growth Policy. We call it Compass 3934 from 2018. And the definition we take from this is that the bioeconomy is an economy that efficiently and sustainably manages biodiversity and biomass to generate new products, processes, and services with added value based on knowledge and innovation. And this indicates that science, technology, and innovation can be a catalyzer for developing the bioeconomy and using the resources we already have. So why aiming to Bioeconomy Mission? I just want to point out that this is a dedicated bioeconomy strategy, although we call it Bioeconomy Mission. So it's not just a part of bigger picture. It's just, this is the whole bioeconomy strategy we want to put in place. So Colombia, even though is a really rich country in terms of biodiversity, we didn't have a dedicated bioeconomy strategy in difference to countries like Costa Rica, Brazil, and others that already have dedicated bioeconomy policies or strategies, and some other countries that also have related strategies in bioeconomy. So we didn't want to be left behind, and so we started devising this bioeconomy strategy some time ago. We want to turn bioeconomy into a new and powerful engine for business growth, and we aim that by 2030, bioeconomy contributes to 10% of the GDP of the country. This is some indicators proposed by this mission, the Sabios Commission of Experts in the recommendations they designed in 2019. So by 2030, what we expect is to build more profitable, competitive, sustainable, resilient, fair value chains based on science, technology, and innovation using the biodiversity, the ecosystem services, and the biomass we have in Colombia. According to some estimates from a consultancy work funded by UK Pact, we estimate that we can mobilize about $1.5 billion in private investments around the bioeconomy businesses. And also, we want to point out that in Colombia, currently, the National Department of Statistics is devising tool for measuring jobs and other indicators related to bioeconomy. So what we want to with this mission is to promote the socioeconomic development of the country from and for the regions. I will want to emphasize in why the regions later, through the efficient and sustainable management of biomass, biodiversity, and its ecosystem services for the generation of products and processes with high added value through science, technology, and innovation. Why from and for the regions? Well, Colombia is a country of regions. The geography actually gives the opportunity for developing different regions with different conditions and different resources, and each region using those resources has the potential to drive the bioeconomy in their own terms. Also considering that not all the regions have the capacities, the similar capacities in terms of using those resources. And the other thing that I want to highlight here is that we aim to high added value in terms of products and processes. Colombia traditionally has been a country that exports a lot of commodities like coffee, bananas, and other products. And just to make an example, you can get a cup of coffee in the United States for $4, and the producers of the coffee in Colombia gets less than 4 cents of the dollar. So we need to start working on adding value here in Colombia instead of just exporting the commodity. And I want to highlight science, technology, and innovation because the Mission de Sabios and actually team working on the Bioeconomy Mission considers that technology, science, and innovation can be a driver for the bioeconomy. And this, for example, can help to add value to what we produce around the products and processes. So in terms of specific objectives, this Bioeconomy Mission aims to generate and sophisticate products and processes with high added value, and also to strengthen value change using the knowledge we can gather on our biodiversity and the biomass and this ecosystem services, of course. And with this, we also want to take into account the particularities of each region in Colombia. Also, we need to work really hard in terms of improving the frameworks, the regulatory frameworks and the policies that will help drive the development of the bioeconomy in Colombia, and also work together between the productive sector, the state, represented by the government, the academia, and the society to make this work. Also, we have to promote the demand in the national market for the consumption of bio-based products and processes with high added value, and also make the conditions, the appropriate conditions to access international markets for some of the products we already have in Colombia, but we still need to promote around the globe. Also, we need to work on the strengthening STI capacities in Colombia, supporting structures and the governance that will allow the development of the bioeconomy in Colombia and the regions. Also, increase the investments from the public and private sectors around initiatives in bioeconomy, manage or try to get more technical and financial support from national and foreign alliances to fund the initiatives in Bioeconomy Colombia. Also, with this Bioeconomy Mission, we want to contribute to the decarbonization of the economy that in Colombia it depends a lot on non-renewable resources, and also reduce the impacts that have the economic activities on the ecosystem, on the biodiversity and the ecosystem services through the diversification, the increasing productivity and efficiency in the use of natural resources, of course, with some circularity criteria. This Bioeconomy Mission is also aligned with some government economic reactivation enhancement plans. You know, the pandemic has affected the economy all around the globe. I think no country escaped to this situation. And with this, we want to highlight it but this Bioeconomy Mission aims to clean growth, also to job creation, to help the populations in those regions that are the poorest and also most vulnerable in the society. But also, ironically, those regions are the ones with high biodiversity. Also, we have a commitment to the countryside and the peace with legality. The countryside in Colombia was for a long time affected by the armed conflict. We need to create the conditions to avoid the repetition of these unfortunate situations. With this, also we want to increase the productivity, sustainability, and competitiveness of the country and the territories to strengthen value chains of the communities, the research centers, bio-based businesses, among others, and also, of course, contribute to some global agendas like SDGs, climate action, and other related to biodiversity. In this Bioeconomy Mission, we don't want to aim to everything. Actually, from consultancy work, we prioritize 6 sectors: health, energy, agriculture, food, tourism, and chemicals. And this is based on what we have already in these sectors, but the potential of growth that these sectors will have over the next 10 years. The way we are addressing these Bioeconomy missions is by addressing 5 major challenges that include the use of continental and oceanic biodiversity for sustainable development. We need to use all those resources we already have in Colombia, but not just use it. We need to know more about those resources. As I mentioned, we have like about 35% of the registered species we will have here in Colombia. We need to find ways to use those resources and protect them, and create the condition also for the fair distribution of benefits to the communities that depend on those resources also. Intelligent Colombia that understands and sophisticates the use of its biodiversity. This challenge is aimed to using the state-of-the-art technology to understand the biodiversity we have and to develop new goods and services from this information we can gather from the biodiversity. Productive and sustainable agriculture that builds social fabric. This challenge takes into account, as I mentioned, that the countryside, for example, suffered for a long time from the armed conflict, and we need to create the conditions to avoid the repetition of these unfortunate situations. And one way to do this is to improve the productivity of the agriculture in these areas, but also we need to highlight the point that this has to be sustainable. We need to avoid situations like deforestation, for examples, and instead revert the deforestation processes by establishing productive and sustainable agriculture among other actions we can have. Biomass 100, more value, zero waste is aimed to the use of the biomass we can generate from several activities in order to generate, among other things, biofuels, natural ingredients, and some products that can be an example of in order to generate some benefits for the communities. Advanced technologies for the health and well-being of Colombians. This is challenges aimed in using not only the biodiversity, but the technology to develop new therapies and new strategies to solve some public health problems that cost a lot of money to the country, and also to improve the living conditions of the people in Colombia. And this is the overall map of what the Bioeconomy Mission is. We start with a great challenge: the productive, biodiverse, and equitable Colombia for the benefit of all Colombians. And the mission is the Bioeconomy Mission. This is a country's community which we expect, among other goals, to generate at least 10% of the GDP by productive change and associated sectors by 2030. And this has all the 5 challenges I already mentioned, and the strategic areas. Each one of those is related to one particular challenge, and this includes biodiversity and ecosystem services, Biointelligent Colombia, productive and sustainable agriculture, biomass and green chemistry, and health and wellness. And each of these areas has the capacity to interact with other areas in order to generate solutions to the other areas. So there's a lot of connections that will help to accelerate different processes. For example, Biointelligent Colombia can generate the information that can be used for the area of health and wellness, and also to generate information to improve processes in the use of the biomass. And among these areas, we had identified a number of prospects or initiatives that contribute to the development of the bioeconomy, and this includes nature and scientific tourism that is related to biodiversity and ecosystem services area, also to the use of natural resources to develop nutraceutical, pharmaceutical, and cosmetics, the biological improvements on some varieties that can help to improve the agriculture in Colombia in a sustainable way. The development of biorefineries and biofactories to use the biomass we generate in the country to generate energy from this biomass, and among other prospects that are already undergoing in the country. So we have like a really ambitious goals. We expect that by 2030, 10% of the GDP comes from the bioeconomy. We aim to creating 2.5 million new jobs positions by 2030. I know this is a really high goal, but it's possible. Also, we expect to support all the 32 departments, which is equivalent to states in some other countries in Colombia, and also the capital district of Bogota in the development and consolidation of bioeconomy value chains and clusters. And we aim at developing 500 bioproducts coming from the biodiversity and biomass. This includes new active ingredients, bioproducts in different stages, like commercial, and the extension of registries to new national and international markets. In terms of the key stakeholders, we know that we need to work together with different organizational entities, and this comes from those from national and local governments, entities in charge of promoting financing, entities in charge of business development and promotion of businesses, like the chambers of commerce that we have all around the country, institutions in charge of generating knowledge, like universities, research centers, and institutes, also technological development, technology transfer and innovation institutions like technology development centers, incubators, technology parks, among others. And this has to be really coordinated work, and governance is a key factor. We need to work here. We know also that we need to work to improve different areas, including funding, market, and regulation. There is a lot of work to do in terms of establishing a clear regulatory framework, homologated with international standards that will allow some Colombian products to get to international markets. We need to find ways to fund different prospects, to improve the portfolios for exports and investment attractions from the productive sector, and also create incentives for the companies in the long term. At the institutional level, we need to keep working in articulating the institutional capacity we already have in Colombia. And of course, we need to define the corresponding budget allocations. This doesn't work without money, and we need to have that pretty clear. Also, we need to keep working on improving the infrastructure to allow the execution of different initiatives around bioeconomy, and also the human capital, which is, I think, is the more important asset here. We need to keep training the human talent in Colombia. We need to also get the technological advances and knowledge to the human capital in order to develop new initiatives around bioeconomy. In terms of funding sources and instruments, we have identified a number of possible sources of funding. That this includes some national sources like the national budget, the royalties that come from some extractive activities, and actually we're currently using some of these to fund some initiatives in bioeconomy. Some territorial funds, some private investment, some sector funds, and the good thing that is now more actors talk about bioeconomy, and this will help to bring some resources to fund some initiatives around this. Also, some international sources like bilateral cooperation. We already have some good relations with some countries here, for example, that help fund some projects in Colombia around bioeconomy. Also multilateral banking and private funds, regional multilateral funds and organizations. I would like to highlight that we have, for example, a good relation with different organizations in multilateral banking, for example, not just for financial cooperation, but also for technical support. I would like to highlight the good cooperation we have with countries like Germany. We have developed a call for bioeconomy proposals last year that are funded. We're funded this year in bioeconomy. Also, with the Inter-American Development Bank, we also have good relations, and we hope that in the future we can keep working with them around this. In terms of instruments, we have to create new incentives and use the incentives we already have, so we can promote more initiatives in bioeconomy by the private sector. Also, to create funds that use risk capital to fund some different initiatives. I would like to highlight that with Bancoldex, is an organization in Colombia, we're working to create a credit line for initiatives in bioeconomy. And just this is the final message. This is our country's commitment where knowledge, science, biodiversity, and biomass converge and become a powerful force for economic growth and social and sustainable development. This is a big bet we are currently having from the ministry with other ministries in the government. This is an ongoing work, developing the action plan, for example, and developing some coordinated efforts in order to promote the bioeconomy and keep moving Colombia around this. I think we have like a really big challenges right now, like climate warming, for the global warming, for example. We need to work together in order to be successful. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Arturo, for your presentation. Thanks for the Ministry of Science in Colombia and the Misión de Sabios. It's just a great framework for all the scientists and the investors and, well, international partners as well. So for me, a take-home message, it's how the science, technology and innovation could be an engine to create products and processes to add value to our biodiversity and to contribute to the economic reactivation of the country and to create new opportunities for all our society. So thank you very much. Remember that if you have any questions, you can do them in the Q&A chat box. So thank you, Arturo, and we will continue with Paula Sierra, who will talk about the biodiversity in Colombia and the Caribbean Sea. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you, Luisa. I'm just to start with a short video for you about the Colombian Caribbean Sea, and just to share my screen. Please let me see if you can hear.
Los océanos cubren.
Sorry, Paulo, we cannot see your video.
Que producen 2/3 partes del oxígeno.
Now it's okay?
No, we are seeing your PowerPoint.
Okay, sorry. Just a minute. Now it's okay?
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Los océanos cubren 2/3 partes de la Tierra. Se estima que producen 2/3 partes del oxígeno que respiramos, de la proteína que consumimos, controlan la mayor parte del CO2 de la atmósfera y regulan el clima alrededor del mundo. Sin ellos, no existiría la vida como la conocemos. Son el origen, el presente y el futuro de la vida en el planeta. Colombia es 50% mar. Sin embargo, a muchos de nuestros compatriotas se les olvida. En esta jornada ambiental, por el futuro de todos nosotros, los invito a conocer, a querer y a cuidar el mar.
Más de 3.500 kilómetros de costa sobre el Pacífico y el Caribe y casi 1 millón de kilómetros cuadrados de aguas marinas hacen de nuestro país un sitio privilegiado al conectarse con el mundo a través de sus océanos. El lugar de numerosos ecosistemas y más de 3.500 especies marinas que contribuyen a considerar a Colombia como un país megadiverso. No en vano cuenta con todos los ecosistemas marinos y costeros del neotrópico y tiene una de las reservas de biosfera más grandes del mundo Seaflower en el Caribe insular. El océano constituye uno de los ejes económicos del país, con más de 6 millones de habitantes en las zonas costeras que encuentran en actividades como la pesca, el ecoturismo y la provisión de servicios ecosistémicos, formas de aprovechamiento sostenible y una importante proyección internacional vía bioprospección y bioinformática. Pero hoy nuestros océanos sufren como consecuencia del cambio climático, la contaminación, la sobreexplotación y otros problemas que ponen en riesgo su salud. Se aproxima una década en la que la ciencia de los océanos es protagonista. Un tiempo en el que se definirá el destino del 70% de un planeta que no debería llamarse Tierra, sino planeta océano.
Okay, now I share my presentation. I hope this is an inspirational video for all of us here. Thank you for inviting me to this webinar. And now I talk about the biodiversity in the Colombian Caribbean Sea. I am Paula Sierra. I am a research and information head at INVEMAR. INVEMAR is the Marine and Coastal Scientific and Technological Organization with a national jurisdiction linked to the Ministry of Environment and Sustainable Development. And our mission is conducted based in and applied research on geoscience, biodiversity, environmental quality, use and valuation of resources, integrated coastal zone management, marine spatial planning, and information systems. Since 1993, the National Coordinator of Marine and Coastal Information System for Colombia, the SIAM system, it's our main goal now. And since 2014, we are the Ocean Teacher Global Academy from UNESCO at the Regional Training Center for Latin American and the Caribbean in Spanish language. And now we are part of the Ocean Science Decade. And into the decade we are part of the executive planning group, the Global Ocean Science Report, that is the report for all the capacities and the advances in marine and coastal issues. And we are part also from the Communication Advisor Group. We are working with the international cooperation with different entities and also different strategies. You can see here the different logos. We are working with the expeditions of Monaco. We are also working with IUCN, POGO, SCORE, OBIS, the Global Biodiversity Information Systems, and among others. Colombia, like Arturo said, it's located in the north part of the South America, and it's very privileged. And this is our map. Sometimes we are behind of the sea, and we forgot to map our ecosystem at the Caribbean Sea and also at the Pacific part of the country. We are almost 50% ocean and coastal territories, and we have more than 50 million people living in Colombia. But in the coastal areas, in the Caribbean coast, we have less than 10% of people, but we have the more or the biggest population, indigenous population. We have 10 groups located in this area. We have in the north part, in the Guajira Peninsula, also in the Sierra Nevada de Santa Marta. As well, we have a Cenus, indigenous people in the Morrosquillos Gulf, and also we have an Embera population in the Gulf of Urabá. The growth rate at the Caribbean, it's more than 3%, and we are the first extensions of seagrasses in the Americas, a second barrier of coral reefs at the Caribbean, and the third largest mangrove area after Brazil and Mexico in the region. And now we are in front of the goals of Aichi, biodiversity goals. We have almost 14% in the marine protected areas of the country. Here you can see the areas that we have in the Caribbean and the Pacific, and it's the other side that we can see our country. We can see our country looking from the sea. Here you can go to the different geoforms in the Caribbean and in the Pacific. And now I try to link the biodiversity with the strategic areas with the bioeconomy program that Arturo said you. And I'm focused here, the biodiversity and the ecosystem services. And in that area, what are concentrated in what is what biodiversity, genetic, also species, and also ecosystems, beach, mangroves, seagrasses, coral reefs, rocky coasts, pelagic, and deep sea. Where we have a short time, and I try to concentrate my conference in mangroves, seagrasses, and coral reefs, and the opportunities in bioeconomy issues and payment for ecosystem services, and also from the information systems. Here you can see the marine and coastal data at the national level. We have more than 41 million data and different databases. Here we can see the fisheries databases, the coral, the quality, environmental quality data, the coastal and climate issues, the MPAs, the marine protected areas, the mangrove ecosystem management data, and also we have the different registers from corals, fisheries, seagrasses, etc., in different kind of systems. And into the Caribbean, we have 43 significant biodiversity areas, and more or 8% is in the continental slope and the abyssal bottoms. You can see here in the green color, the priority conservation sites. We have in the Caribbean 100 priority conservation sites. 12% are in the continental shelf, and in the this other color, you can see the significant biodiversity areas in the oceanic part of the Caribbean. And what about the ecosystem representativeness in the marine protected areas? Until 2000 year, we have only 2% of the Colombian oceans under protection, and now we have the 35 MPAs in all the country. But we still have 11 ecosystems underrepresented. In the Caribbean, we have 64% underrepresentation of these ecosystems. When we talk about the representation, it's that in the table you can see well-represented ecosystems are 30%. It's the good number of each. Since I try to go deep into each of the ecosystems. Now I talk about the mangrove areas. As said, Colombia is the third largest mangrove area at the Americas region, after Brazil and Mexico. And now we have a detailed cartography launched last week. It's very detailed, especially for the island. If you heard about the hurricane impacts in the San Andres Island, you can know about this map that I showed here. And the mangroves in that area after the hurricanes was survived to the high impact. It's one of the main ecosystem service from this ecosystem. And also the estimations of carbon. Now we talk about the blue carbon ecosystem. Blue carbon ecosystems are mangroves and also seagrasses. And in Colombia, we are working in the estimations of the carbon, not only in the aerial biomass of the mangroves, but also in roots, necromass, and soil. And we discovered that the soils get or storage more than 80% of the carbon in the areas. That was one of the reasons that we take bioeconomy issues in the mangrove areas. And now we are the first blue carbon project certified by Barrera in the world, and was the successful payment ecosystem services, also the tourist alternative, not only with the tourists by nature, but also with the local gastronomy involving on it. And this project is called Vida Manglar. Vida Manglar is a scientific and traditional mangrove knowledge in practice, and is located in this area in the middle of the Caribbean. It's the Cispata Bay. And we try to avoid deforestation of mangrove areas, but also we try to ensure and promote the sustainable development in the area, strengthening local governance and contributing to the protection of high values of the community and also for the conservation and biodiversity values. This project, the objective of this project is to reduce greenhouse emissions through mangrove conservation activities, strengthening local governance and promoting alternative productive activities while contributing to the protection of high communities conservation value and biodiversity. The co-benefits about the ecosystem-based adaptation and versus mitigation, the blue carbon aspects, contribute to climate change mitigation and adaptation goals into the convention. And Colombia linked the NDCs, the national determinant contributions in that area, including the mangrove areas and the blue carbon ecosystems. In this project, we try to reduce the almost 1 million tonnes of CO2 equivalent by 2030. And until now, we reduce almost 70, almost 1 million hectares in deforestation avoided of mangroves. Now we are in the market, the voluntary market, and we are about the $20 per ton of CO2 avoided in the mangrove areas, and it's very, very successful process. And we are working with the 14 communities, local communities related directly with the mangroves, and also we try to improve the biodiversity values like the species into the red list, like the caiman and also the cetacean in the area. And on the other hand, the seagrasses are also in front of the bioeconomy process, and the valuation about the economic valuation about the seagrasses is around $115 to $1,000 per hectare under conservation. And recently we produced this report, this information about the seagrasses blue carbon in the Colombian Caribbean. At the Caribbean, Colombia has the most important areas in seagrasses, around 80% in the Guajira Peninsula. Here you can see in the map, and also around the sea flower or MPA, Marine Protected Area, in the San Andres and Providence in the north part of the Caribbean. About the coral reefs, we are working in two parts of the corals. One is the deep corals. In that area, we work we work in the deep corals that in the Caribbean is the unique area, the marine protected area in the Caribbean. It's located in front of the middle of the Caribbean in Colombia. And was a very nice process working with the private sector, the oil and gas private sector, and it's now under a national park administration. And in that area, we protect 65% of our deep corals in the Caribbean. And the other strategy is to get 1 million of corals restored in Colombia. And it's the new goal of this government. And the income is approx for the tourist process is about $140 million per year at the Caribbean related to the coral reefs. You know what is the importance of these marine ecosystems, and also is evaluated for the United Nations in a huge rate of per area. Also in the fisheries, we have in the Caribbean, and artisanal marine fisheries in the Caribbean generate more than 13,000 direct jobs using 9 categories of fishing gear, and distribute in more than 150 landing sites and extracting about more than 100 species. In the Ciénaga Grande de Santa Marta, here is the map, despite its variable environmental deteriorated, it produced fishing resource on an annual average of 6,000 tons per year, based on about 144 species caught by artisanal fishes, which generate a yield per year of 30 tons square kilometers. This biomass valued at market price is about 40,000 million pesos, Colombian per year. And all of this data, it's located in the Marine Environmental Information System of Colombia. Here is the URL if you can see or test the information. We are related with the national initiatives in National Marine Research Institution network, also in the reports of the State of Marine Environment. It's an annual report since 1995 and based on indicators of the health and of ecosystems. And in the international initiatives or sphere, we are related with different conventions and protocols. And also we are related in the Caribbean with the Caribbean Marine Atlas. We work with 30 countries in the Caribbean, and we put our data in OBIS. OBIS is the Observation Biodiversity Information System. And also we work with the CLME, the Caribbean Large Marine Ecosystem. And here is the new initiatives that we are working in the marine spatial data. We're working with the Caribbean Marine Atlas that I say. And also we working in the mapping of the capacities. And here we are working with the regional training centers for Latin America and the Caribbean. And the purpose in front of the decade of the ocean science is to develop the Ocean Info Hub. INVEMAR is the focal point for the Caribbean and Latin American Ocean Info Hub node. And also we report to the Global Ocean Science Report for all the globe. And talking about the science that we need for the ocean that we want in the ocean science decade, here we have one of the specialists related with this webinar is a healthy and resilient ocean, whereby marine ecosystems are mapped and protected. Multiple impacts, including climate change, are measured and reducing, and provision of ocean ecosystem services is maintained. What is expected of the healthy and resilient Caribbean Ocean? We expect clean waters, we expect functional mitigation, the climate change, functional properties of the ocean working, richness and abundance of the species, empowerment of environments, authorities of the ocean. It's really, really important to this point, and also for the local communities and increase communities awareness, environmental suitable for all the organisms, support of the whole sectors of the economy, and of course the good practices for sustainable of the marine ecosystem services. About the capacity development, the Regional Training Center at INVEMAR works with more than 25 countries, developed more than 35 courses in the last 6 years, and we try to balance of the gender balance all the time. Our target audience is in oceanic data and marine information managers and marine environmental research with training requirements in data management and or information management. And here we have different type of course, mainly related with the GIS, the Geographical Information System, the big data management, also with the marine protected areas, marine spatial planning, and among others. And the tendency during the COVID pandemic 2020, we increased the number of courses, the number of applicants, and the virtual materials available. Also Also, we decrease in fiber and lab procedures, but now we are ongoing of the process. And this kind of issues demand a huge efforts, time preparation, execution, and evaluation, but it's really, really nice to involve different people from different countries in the region to working together in the ocean's priorities. What are the challenges now? We need to explore our deep-seated ecosystems at the Caribbean. We need to build capacities on different disciplines. Also, we need to exchange information and use the big data, artificial intelligence. We are working on it, for example, in the process of remote sensing area. That is the reason that now we have a new mangrove map, more detailed, using the artificial intelligence and the match learning machine, and we develop also new applications. Other challenges improve science on new topics and focus, mitigation, blue carbon, ecosystem-based adaptation, marine spatial planning, acidification, and desoxygenation. And we need to improve and implement restoration strategies to the marine ecosystem and them species, and ocean science report at different scales and create, of course, awareness using communication in the social media or others media to improve the positive actions of the ocean. And what we need to search in our ocean and coastal areas the potentials of biodiversity beyond what may be at first glance. Observing and mapping biodiversity, bioprospection, bioinformatics, information technology, planning using climate change scenarios and adopt-based natural solutions, cost-effective. And also, we need to change our tourist vision because we need to link the people with the restoration process, with the monitoring process, and also with local natural value and gastronomy in the areas. Thank you very much for your attention, and here for any questions that you have.
Thanks, Paula, for your presentation, and thanks to the INVEMAR that has been leading the research in marine areas. Thank you for all the topics that you share, mainly for the blue carbon project that it's amazing that is now making part of the markets. So thank you very much. And I think we're a little bit tight in time. So I will give the word to Juan Armando. And Juan Armando, please remember that we have 10 minutes. And thank you very much. You will be talking about marine molecular biology, right? Juan? Juan Armando? I'm wondering if he has a problem. Juan Armando, can you hear me? Well,
yes, can you hear me now?
yeah.
Yeah, well, I lost Zoom in my computer. Just give me a sec, please. Okay. Thanks so much. I just lost the window from Zoom.
It's all right.
Well, it's I'm you seeing my screen right now? Okay. Well, today I will briefly present you two ideas that fit very well within the two main Colombian national bioeconomy mission challenges, and two of the missions from the Earth Center. These are two ocean-based solutions to food production and environmental monitoring. I was part of the Misión Internacional de Sabios, but today I'm talking about from the bottom up, just showing two ideas for innovation. But one of the things that were very important in the SAGES mission was the promise of aquaculture and artisanal fisheries. Particularly, aquaculture is the fastest growing agribusiness in Colombia and the world. with a steady growth probably beyond 2030. In this industry, however, the largest investment is the pellet feed, which can be up to 70% of the operating costs. An emerging opportunity is the fact that fish oil and fish meal, two major components from the pellet feed, is decreasing for several factors: overexploitation, climate change, and prices are increasing beyond sustainability for this industry. So there is a great need to innovate for replacing fish meal, particularly towards more sustainable sources of protein, such as insects. There are huge projects or growing soldier fly for getting pellets. However, yeast seems to be the elephant in this room because it comprises a high protein with exceptional fast growing rates. And to be honest, I had a visit in my lab from some trained producers from Ecuador. They were asking me, almost begging me for new yeast solutions. A product they must obtain as a byproduct of beer fermentation. They actually go to Brazil to get, huge tanks with yeast, but the type of yeast is not the ideal for feeding aquatic animals. And they suggested that marine strains are more appropriate, especially for their contents in protein and lipids. So together with a colleague and a student, we started a small project isolating marine yeast from the Colombian Caribbean, and our results were surprising. We isolated fast-growing yeast strains containing large amounts of proteins and lipids. But the most interesting thing was that the fermentation rates outcompete those from the common yeasts. Moreover, bioprospecting marine yeast is highly promising. Now let's talk about some likely opportunities in Colombia that we have probably in the near future. We're planning a deep sea exploration expedition. For the first time, we will explore systematically beyond down to 3,000 meters in depth. So we wanna go to the Caribbean, to several of the places. I'm really happy that Paula did this fantastic introduction about the Colombian ecosystems. And the Eastern Pacific, including some amazing features and ecosystems never explored in this part of the ocean. And one of the interesting things about this expedition is that we wanted to be something like the state of the art of the expeditions, completely open innovation, open science, and open data. We will have telepresence all the time thanks to a collaboration with the Inner Space Center of the University of Rhode Island. So anything that is done during the expedition, you might be able to see live through YouTube in Colombia and the rest of the world. So our proposal with GIST, which is pretty core, we're looking for funding and partners to set up a mobile GIST bioreactor biocontroller to screen hundreds of GIST isolates along the expedition. At the end of the expedition, we will be able to isolate marine GIST with high fermentation rates and protein contents. So we will have the strains, fresh. We don't have to move it to the lab, and we will be able to end it up with results right after the expedition. Okay, my second short project, I want to show you an idea that serves both as a way to monitor ocean acidification effects on calcifying organisms, but also as means to capture CO2 by recruiting photosynthetic microorganisms and algae. As you probably are aware that carbon dioxide concentration is building up in the atmosphere and in the ocean, and carbonates are decreasing, becoming undersaturated for calcifying organisms. And of particular concern is the predicted increase in microbioerosion by endolytic organisms in coral reef and rhodolith beds. So unbelievably as it is, there is little innovation to monitor microbioerosion. So everything talks about climate change, ocean acidification. People measures the alkalinity of the water, but we don't measure directly what is going on in the organisms. It is usually measured on pieces of dead coral or limestones like this figure 8. But thanks to MinCiencia's funding, we are developing a ceramic coral-like material to be able to monitor this process in a replicable and accurate manner. We got excellent results with the material, which turned out to be a very biogenic, and we're expecting the national patent probably during this month. This simple technology can produce the material we can produce this material under different porosities, allowing more endolytic algae and carbon capture in its cavities. And we're working on a new innovation by integrating electronics. So it works as a sensor of microbioerosion and at the same time as a proxy of carbon capture. We have large rhodolith beds in the Colombian continental shelf, and we're aiming to estimate the resource as blue carbon. It's usually under mesophotic conditions below 40 meters of water depth. In the case of rhodoliths, in this region, they capture carbon because they are photosynthetic coralline algae, but also they are a substrate for diverse macroalgae. These are data from the deep sea coral spark that Paula nicely introduced. And as you can see here, only 20%, 25% of rhodoliths are, they surface. The rest of the rhodoliths are covered by macroalgae. An algae have been recently considered as the elephant in the blue carbon room, with particular interest of those shelf edge systems, like the Colombian continental Caribbean shelf, where the algae is exported down the slope. So our material serves both as a nodule for artificial rhodolites, but also as a way to monitor both microbioerosion and algae colonization. So our proposal, and when we are looking for funding partnerships and collaborators, is to complete the electronics in a way that multiple sensors can broadcast a signal that can be read by for instance, a ROP. So we're working in the patent for the electronics in the sensor, in the rhodolite, but also for the receptor in a ROP, which will allow the monitor of large areas. So you can throw, millions of these little nodes, and then you can monitor microbioerosion, but at the same time carbon capture using just a ROP dive. The image that you can see here is the Deep Sea Corals National Park. And we think that we can work with them towards getting a sustainable carbon bonds, because they suffer for financing, their mission as a conservation. All right, those are the two things I wanted to show you, and thank you very much. I'm really open to collaboration and discussions. Thank you.
Juan, thank you very much for your presentation. You surprised me. Wonderful that you're working with aquaculture and geez, I want to cooperate. We want to scale up these geese and try them in fish feed, and I hope we can find many more partners, international partners that would like to cooperate. The other projects are also very interesting. It was part topic from the thing that I thought that you would be choking, so you were just like full of surprises. Thank you very much. Great.
Thank you, Luisa.
Great, thank you very much. Jaime Rojas, Are you ready? We would like to learn about marine aquaculture and the new advances that you have made in the oceanarium. Jaime? Can you hear me? Well, I'm not sure if Jaime is having some trouble. He mentioned that he was in the Pacific and he had like a great storm there just when we started. I don't know, perhaps I can share my presentation to give him some time. Oh, you're ready now. Good. I'm happy. Great, Jaime.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for inviting me. Oh, hello. Yes, okay.
Can you share your screen?
I know. Hello. Hey, you hear me? You hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
How
Fine.
you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Hi, Jaime. We can hear you. Can you share your screen? Can you hear us?
Okay, I'm going to share my screen.
Great.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Okay. Bueno, I'm going to make a presentation of marine aquaculture in Colombia. My name is Jaime Rojas. I'm the research director of Centro de Investigación, Educación y Recreación, that is the Isla del Rosario. Okay. So the oceanarium is located in the north of Caribbean. I don't know. I hear my voice again return, so I don't know if you are listening. Listening.
We're listening.
Okay. So we are located in the north of Colombia. The island is it's called Islas Amarillas. We are located inside a national park, that is the Parque Nacional Natural Corales del Rosario y San Bernardo. We are surrounded of ecosystems like mangrove, seagrasses, and coral reefs. And we are a private entity. We are a member of of the schools and aquarium networks here in Colombia. We have many animals, marine animals, that the visitors can go there to visit. And we also make research with several marine resources. And we have done a lot of work in research of aquaculture. First of all, in Colombia, the aquaculture in Colombia, and commercial aquaculture in Colombia, most of them are from freshwater aquaculture. There are species that are with high production, that are tilapia, cachama, and trout. There are other species that have low production, like boca chico, dorada, yamu, and pirarucu. And there are some research on some species, and this is freshwater species, that are some bagres. And in ornamental aquaculture, in Colombia, there is now in research. And in marine aquaculture, the only cultures that are commercial in Colombia is the shrimp culture. And but in fishes, now we are in research. We are making research with snapper, grouper, and pompano, that are species that we have here in the Caribbean and in another, and also another in the Pacific. Here we can see the aquaculture production species in Colombia the last year. And we have, for example, the shrimp aquaculture is only the 3.3%. And the 74.9% of the national production are made with non-native species. So, SANER is a marine aquaculture program that carries out basic and applied research on marine resources for the development and adaptation of the reproduction and culture techniques of local species of the Caribbean Sea. The research focuses on species of high ecological and economical importance, aiming at the restocking and conservation. It also conducts research programs towards diversification of shrimp and tilapia in Colombia to provide alternative livelihoods for farming fishermen. One of the species that we have for more than 30 years of research is the Golden grouper. The Golden grouper is one of the most ecological important marine species of the Atlantic Ocean, and it's commonly known as Nerohuachi, Colombia. It is the largest representative serranic that can reach weight of more than 400 kilos and length of more than 2 meters. And this serranic has suffered a severe population decline, growth in the development due to overfishing. It is listed as a critical endangered species in the Red Book Marine Fish of Colombia, and otherwise is categorized as vulnerable by the UICN. And we have a good result, an excellent result in agriculture here with the Golden grouper in Colombia. In 2015, we led the first production of fingerling of this species of the world. And a recent result, a good recent result the last year is that we closed the reproductive cycle of these polar here in Colombia. This is a good thing for this species because this is a species that we're going to produce in the laboratory, in the lab, to produce fingerling for toxic treatment and also to develop aquaculture in Colombia. And this research and this work has been carried out by private and government entities in Colombia and aims to advance the knowledge and establish the fundamental basis for development of the food cycle and production of organic for commercial purpose and for conservation of these species in Colombia. We also make research with the government, the Autoridad Nacional de Agricultura y Pesca, Agriculture, and the people in Colombia supporting research. We also with in the Caribbean with the mangrove red Sanchez and the company. So what we want to do, we want to develop in the future the culture in marine cages. These are experimental marine cages that we have in the Caribbean, in the ocean, and we want to develop all the techniques for culture in all these species. Another topic that we work is for aquaculture. We want to promote scientific knowledge for coral reef restoration. We work with 2 species endangered corals, and we make a culture by applying techniques of sexual reproduction and asexual reproduction. And these images are from the research of sexual reproduction, when we collect the sperm and the egg in the reef, and we fertilize them in the lab, and we are trying to make larviculture for produce juvenile. So we advance in many techniques of coral restoration, and coral aquaculture benefits ecotourism, education, and raising public awareness. And because we involve local communities in the coral restoration techniques, and they also, local communities work in ecotourism, so they benefit from this. Okay, this is the topic that and the abstract that we work here in Colombia, in the Caribbean, and I hope this will bring this presentation.
Thank you very much, Jaime. Indeed, you have been working bravely towards the marine aquaculture that is still a challenge for us in the country, to perhaps gain new investors and to improve our industry in marine aquaculture, mainly marine fish. There are great opportunities, and you have been also working in coral restorations with successful results. So thank you very much for sharing with us and making all this effort to connect from the Pacific in the middle of the storm. So thank you very much. I will share now my screen. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. So I am Luisa Villamil, the director of our PhD program in biosciences at Universidad de La Sabana. This is a joint program among the engineering and medicine school, and it has been just a wonderful place to carry out interdisciplinary research. My ongoing research is in two main areas: bioprospecting and aquaculture. Bioprospecting, that it's like a new opportunity for the region to be able to explore and use our biodiversity, and aquaculture, that is a more traditional activity, mainly in freshwater species, and at the same time aim to contribute to the Sustainable Development Goals, at least some of them. Regarding the bioprospecting activity, I work with Professor Luis Diaz, who leads the bioprospecting research group, and wonderful PhD students, Jason Sanchez, Maria Clara de la Hoz, and a master's student, Paula Reynolds, with the cooperations of some just generous friends from different universities and in Villamil as well, and Juan Armando from Los Andes University, with two main approaches. One that is culture independent, bioprospecting of sponge and octocorals associated microbes, aiming to understand the ecology, the metataxonomy, the presence of different communities, and also in a culture dependent approach, obtaining individual bacteria, doing the fermentation, the growth out, the extract obtention with different solvents, freeze drying, and the analysis of different activities. We are now focused in the development of cosmeceutical products. We wanted to do something that could be applied and commercialized to generate value. So one of the things that we are working now is in photoprotective compounds derived from actinobacteria that would help and give an alternative to traditional sunscreens that have some of ingredients that are associated with health risks and ecotoxicological issues. And we have been able to find different streptomyces, gordonias, and other actinobacteria with interesting activity. Another bioactivity that is very important or interesting for us is the antibiotic activity. As you know, actinobacteria are well known to produce antibacterial metabolites. Most of, like 70% of the antibiotics that we use are mostly derived from these kind of metabolites, and we would like to use them to treat acne vulgaris, to treat acne using different approaches, determining the anti-infective activity, being able to measure the antibacterial and chrome quenching activities, to understand better the relationship among the main pathogen associated with acne vulgaris, which is Cutibacterium acnes, and human cells, and the relationship with the extracts, using transcriptomics, and evaluate all the promising extracts and establish not only the extracts, but be able to know the compounds responsible for the activities. And in this way, will alleviate somehow the antibiotic resistance and the dysbiosis that is caused by the use of antibiotics, traditional antibiotics, to treat acne vulgaris. We're also working in pigments and antioxidant metabolites and activities that are related to skincare, whitening, anti-aging, and in the evaluation of the conditions to improve the production of these metabolites, the evaluation of carbon and nitrogen sources, salts, pH, all kind of conditions, even UV radiation, among others. In the other part regarding aquaculture, I also have the privilege to work with wonderful PhD students, Javier Melo, Marcelo Valle, Mario Colorado, and master student that just graduated, Juan Cano, and some friends, some professors of the agro-industrial research group from La Sabana, Yolanda Ruiz, Maria Jimena Quintanilla, Luis Diaz, and other researchers that have been just gracefully sharing resources, ideas with us, and we of course are very open and needing this kind of support. So as Juan mentioned, aquaculture is a fast-growing industry, but it has two main challenges. As he mentioned, feeds and the dependence of animal protein to supply the needs of the animals. And the other thing is the health management and the use of antibiotics that unfortunately has been becoming integral part of aquaculture industry, although there has been a great effort to find alternatives. We know that antibiotics can harm ecosystems, that adversely affect fish in different areas, and the accumulation of antibiotics in fish mussels could be also a health risk for the humans as customers, that consumers of this meat. So our group is focused in probiotics as sustainable and friendly alternative to antibiotics. And we have been working in different approaches. From one part, a continuous culture to establish a competitive exclusion culture and to be able to isolate different bacteria, understanding also the profiles of different communities that are present in healthy and diseased fish, and be able to establish a consortium of bacteria obtained from individual bacteria of this competitive exclusion culture. We're also interested in all the processes related to the product production. So the scaling up and the conditions, the drying, the packaging, the storaging, and of course, the evaluation of these probiotics in vivo, in the fish administration, to evaluate the survival, productive parameters, the effects at transcriptomal levels. We would like to understand more about these bacteria, their genomes, their traits, possible harms that could be present, and we would definitely like to avoid the fish microbiome. And we are now going to start a new project that has been funded by the Royalty Fund with SENA in the northern part in Colombia, in La Guajira. We're going to be able to evaluate our probiotics on a commercial scale and to strengthen their capacities there. They have a recirculation system and other kind of systems to do tilapia culture. In this project, we will have to face important challenges as the production of our probiotic products, our multi-strain probiotic, using a new culture medium that could be produced by byproducts of the agro-industrial sector and to add them value and to be able to have more economical sustainability as well. We are going to encapsulate the probiotics and evaluate the different techniques to assure probiotic viability during storage and administration, and also to determine the in vivo effect, both at laboratory scale and also at a more pilot or productive scale. We also worked in the probiotic selection in Colombia that Jaime knows better about this project. Unfortunately, I think due to the different challenges in the offshore culture and growth out of this species, it has not been longer been cultured, but I think we have great opportunities with this. I've been working, or this project was carried out with the cooperation with Seniaqua and Microbiomas and the University Jorge Tadeo Lozano in a holistic view that included the analysis of different growth cycles, the microbiome analysis, and also the selection and the guided screening of potential probiotics that could be used in tilapia culture. We also evaluate deselected probiotics in shrimps and in Artemia. We had also been working with other live food like rotifers. And we're also interested in the use of immunostimulants. So in this study, we used a capaqueraginan from Inia musiformis and evaluate growth performance, survival of tilapia during a challenge, immune gene regulation. So these are the main topics, and I would be very, very happy to find new partners, new ideas. We are very interested in strengthening the omics tools to better understand and to study the application and the use of our biodiversity in these topics.
Luisa, you are unmuted.
Oh, thank you. I don't know how it happened. Thank you very much. So I was saying that our last panelist is Ellie. Thank you, Ellie. You're mute.
Yes. Hello.
Thank you.
Okay, one moment, please. Okay, you see my presentation?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Good. I'm going to talk about the bioeconomy opportunities in the Caribbean Sea specifically, and I present for you the potential for Colombian in these topics. The agenda for this presentation is the highlight from National Assessment of Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services, the knowledge base marine bioeconomy, and prospect to development the marine bioeconomy in Colombia. Okay, the first is talking about that the highlight from National Assessment of Biodiversity and Ecosystem Service, talking about that the importance for the National Biodiversity Strategy, development the Biodiversity Information System. This is very important because replied the largest open data network about that biodiversity in the country, and posteriorly, or after the 200 was implemented, the SIP Colombia. This is the system that report all the first results of the new approachment to date for information management at the national level and articulate with the Colombian environmental information system. This information or these platforms was very important and articulate with other, specifically for the marine environmental, is the SIAM, the Marine Environmental Information System, that integrate a set of conceptual elements for policy, standards, process, human resource, and technologies for the information in marine environmental. This is the all information about that marine and oceanic information, that biodiversity and ecosystem services. To these highlights for this assessment, show the importance that publication in the scientific that EC and Scopus database, relations with bioprospecting of Colombian marine, talking about the organisms at number, and have publication in different journals that classified in Q1 journals. Other highlights is the natural resource with bioprospecting and biotraded application could be mechanisms that could help finance conservation principally in Caribbean Colombian, where have 19% of research. It's important to highlight about the continuity in the investigation is essential for because to bring the results of preliminary research to pilot plants and go to industrial production process. This is because that the research only have in the TRL 1 or 4, but not have more TRL. The other hand, or however, what moment, okay. Talking about the knowledge-based marine bioeconomy, we find about the bioprospectation in Colombia. We have the INVEMAR report about the index of the state of knowledge of ecosystem in an ecosystem service in Colombia. You know, in this graphic is important the knowledge about that coastal biodiversity and bioprospect in this case. Two is important, the index in the San Andres Providencia, that is the island in the Caribbean Sea, and it's have potential for knowledge others areas that not have studies or don't have reports for detail. In this report, to have important taxons for researching, for example, corals, sponge, algae, and bacteria are the more studies for these taxons, and have the potential for bioprospection in the Colombia. As you know, in this graphic, the groups tested to evaluate the bioactivity for substance. For example, sponge, oxantidius are the more the group more study and have a very progress. For example, in the use for biological control of fungi and control the bacteria in agriculture cultive, for example, the ñame or rice, with bioactivity substance that these marine organisms. Other research talking about the use for prostaglandin 2 derived from octocorals that we can use for development inhibitor and some enzymes present in cancer process. This is very important because have the potential for use in pharmaceutical or in agriculture biotechnology with bioprospectation of marine organisms. This is the 5 areas, strategic areas about that bioeconomy mission. I'm talking about that biodiversity and ecosystem services, biosmart Colombian, agroproductive and sustainable, biomass and green biochemistry, and talking about that health and wellness. Okay, what is the knowledge based in marine bioeconomy in Colombia about that biodiversity and ecosystem services? We have programs in, for example, nature-based solution, the blue carbon that at Inbemar is the principal institution. Other is the research about the energy potential in coastal and oceanic areas that the National University with the research group Oceanicos, and talk about that natural streams is a strategy progress to natural parks and Ministry of Trade. In the other area, strategic area, have the Biosmart Colombia. This is the bacterial and algae bioprospection. In this moment, Colombia have 2 patents in marine organisms and have a barcoding to the biodiversity in marine organisms. This is liderate with Tadeo, Universidad Jorge Tadeo Lozano, and the National University. Marine Prospective or Laboratory, this is for at the Inbemar. You know about that, Juan, talking to Uniandes, proteomic, transcriptomic, and metabolic research. And this is very important for progress in the research in the Colombia. The other is the agroproductive and sustainable. Talking about the SEINER is the institute working in marine aquaculture, reproductive and growth technology. And SENIACUA and the AUNAP is the authority, the national authority in fisheries, talking about the or working about the marine fisheries, artisanal fisheries, with link with communities and development for this bioeconomy. In the biomass and green biochemistry, my university, the Universidad Sergio Arboleda, worked in remediation of wastewater with microalgae and potential for these algae to biofuel. Others research in this topic is worked at Medellin, the Universidad Pontificia Bolivariana, and worked in microalgal biofuels. This is important because this experience is in the tripartite, public, private, and academic sectors, and have results, but not have the next path for the industrial production for these biofuels. The other sector with its potential to working for marine bioeconomy is the health and wellness. In the country, we research in cosmetic products, pharmacologic, sponge and cancer, production of colorant for food package, and cosmetic with Ipnia musiformes, and use this algae, use the seaweed and protection for about 2 antioxidants. What is the perspective that use the marine bioeconomy in Colombia? Okay, this is the graphic about that European Commission, and talking about these different sectors when it's possible use the marine bioeconomy and marine biodiversity. And you know, the potential for fertilizant and bioenergy, but is this product of these sectors have a more biomass for produce your for your production, no? In the middle, you have the feed, the food and nutraceutical, and the pharmaceutical and cosmetic is the less volume for biomass that you need for produce. But the problem that you know in this table is that the time for market, you know, the fertilizant, bioenergy, it's more easy. You in less time, you have a cost of development low or medium, but it's more easy your development in this sector, but feed, bioenergy, and fertilizant. Other potential for development is the marine circular bioeconomy, that development for Cornell University, and talking about the use that microalgae for carbon capture and storage, and for example, you use the microalgae or macro or microalgae for waste treatment, and use these for nutrients that products in the you use in fish, in agriculture, in human nutrition, in domestic animals, and this is possible that you have other line in the production for biofuels, for example. This use for a marine circular bioeconomy concept. This is possible in Colombia too. And go to the way to energy with microalgae at industrial scale. In this moment, we have only TRL less to 4, but it's necessary invested to more treatment for industrial scale. The other possibility is about that marine product, how I talk it is about the food industry or functional food. It's important because these areas have less biomass, and you have cost low or medium, and you have in less time production for bioeconomy. The other is the use, for example, the Thalacete studinium is the seagrass, important for your use in bioactivity substance for anti-inflammatory or analgesic effects. Colombia have areas with you have seagrass, and it's possible you use this species Thalacea for research in this activity substance. The other is the energy production. This production is with any marine potential for tidal range, tidal stream, or wave, and it's important for development only energy transition that in these countries priority for the politics and administrative strategies. This is the perspective for Colombia to marine bioeconomy. Thanks for your times. And this is my email. Thank you.
Ellie. Thanks to all panelists. Thanks for the presentations. I've been seeing the Q&A chat, and I think most of the questions have been addressed, but I don't know if anyone would like to add something. Any remarks? Perhaps to be able to give it more information to the questions that have been answered. No, you're fine, Paula, Jaime.
Luisa.
Arturo. Perhaps you'd like to add some concluding remarks, Arturo, as the host of the Ministry of Science, that it's leading us, that it's giving this nice platform to meet the researchers from the Earth Center.
Well, thank you, Luisa. I would like to thank Jose and all the people, all the team in Air Center for giving us this space. I think it's really important for us to show what the country is doing in regard to the marine bioeconomy. I think there is a lot of initiatives currently going on. And actually, I was just talking with some members of my team to see how we can show what we are doing. It's really important to show this so we can get the interest not only here in Colombia, but also in the international community. We need to keep creating alliances with some national and international organizations. There is a lot of work to do. That's an objective we have in the ministry, in the bioeconomy team, to keep moving this. We are going to keep working on designing the action plan. I would like also to highlight that within a couple of months at most, we will start some regional workshops in Colombia, and this includes workshops in the Pacific and the Caribbean coasts. And one of the topics will be definitely marine resources in these areas, and also a workshop in the sea flower area, well, mainly in San Andres and Providence. It's really important to keep working on this. And I love that Juan Armando showed the plans they have also with the with this program that is really important to do. All the bioprospecting activities done also by Biomar and other universities. And also I would like to say that from the ministry, we are working on getting some new funding to keep the funding activities for projects and programs in bioeconomy. Obviously, this includes marine bioeconomy. Also, we're trying to get some additional resources from the royalty systems, and particularly in the STI fund. I don't know if you heard, or probably heard about the bioeconomy call we launched this year. It was pretty successful, I think. Initially, we're going to fund 8 programs and different levels. It's about $1.2 million per program, and also at least 5 projects. We have like some eligible proposal for funding, but we are going to keep working on getting the funding to those additional proposals. And I would like to say that this is not like a finished work. We have to do a lot of things. We are going to keep moving the international cooperation. That's a good way to get technical and financial support. And you know that doing marine bioeconomy is not cheap. So that's a lot of work to do. So, thank you.
Thanks, Arturo. I completely agree with your points. I think, well, the panelists are nodding, so we agree with you, and we are thankful for this opportunity. We hope we can have also more support to train PhD students. I know the ministry is doing an effort, but they are such a key partners in the generation of new knowledge. So, and they need to be well funded as well as our projects. So we are very, very thankful. And also we are pleased to meet researchers from the Air Center, and we are open to cooperate, to search together for new funding opportunities, and to be able to continue with our plans, our research plans, and to be able to learn also from the experience of other researchers in different parts of the world. So I think we can conclude our webinar today with many thanks for all, and wishing you a very nice Friday.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.